Thank you everyone for taking the time today to join us. This is Kristen Keister with Summa, and I'm going to go ahead and get us kicked off here. Today we've got Jeff Rosenthal with Salesforce.com who will be presenting Service Cloud 101, and Adam Menzies, Solution Architect with Summa, who will be walking us through some customer success stories with the Service Cloud. So Jeff, thank you very, very much for joining us.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jeff Rosenthal with Salesforce.com. I wanted to introduce myself to you for our conversation today as part of the Service Cloud business team here at Salesforce. My role within Salesforce is to engage with clients and users of Salesforce to understand business cases and use cases and functional analysis of their customer service and contact center operations to help them on their journey of becoming customer companies with the Salesforce Service Cloud. What I'm going to walk you through today in terms of our agenda is largely sharing with you not only some background on why we offer a Service Cloud, but more importantly, what some of the drivers are in terms of the changing landscape of customer service use cases and customer loyalty. Since many of you are using Service Cloud today, the recommendation and guidance that we always give you is to ensure that you're making your decisions based on products that are available today, in case any questions come up around future roadmap of Service Cloud. Next area I want to step through is helping you understand and contextualize some of the changing landscape of computing to Service Cloud. I've seen this before around the evolution of computing from mainframe through client server systems and today into the cloud, where you're able to bring solutions to market faster with more agility using cloud-based solutions from Salesforce. But I wanted to contextualize this a little bit more to Service Cloud in that, historically, most customer service systems in that client server era were primarily existing as systems of record to capture cases and to provide tracking on resolution of those cases. And with the evolution of cloud computing has also existed just an exponential growth in connectivity of not only people through the web and through their mobile devices, but today what we're seeing is more and more connected things, including sensors in the products that you sell, including mobile accessibility and mobile applications, so that the whole landscape of customer service has the potential to be transformed by understanding situation analysis in real time on your actual products before customers even know that those problems exist. And really what we want to reinforce in our messaging when we talk about building a good customer experience program in your organization is that behind everything is a customer. And more importantly, in the context of Service Cloud, behind every interaction with your customer service organization is an impression that's made on your ability to meet their needs and on their likelihood and propensity to do future business with your company. So stepping through, the Service Cloud offering, when we talk about the evolution from the client server to the cloud in the context of customer service and in terms of connected devices, what we're seeing is that your customers today are different from the historical ways that they've interacted with you in the past through phone or email-only channels. More and more people are, for example, looking to their social media networks to let you know about issues and problems that they're having through Facebook and through Twitter. We're seeing more and more innovation with the deployment of service embedded right into your mobile applications. And when we talk about some of the future direction and roadmap of Service Cloud in this series, we want to make sure everybody learns about our new SOS or one-touch embedded mobile functionality, which if you've been familiar with Amazon's model with Kindle, having a one-touch service button that you have the ability to open up chats and web conferencing with your agents directly from your mobile applications. And really the other layer of this is the connected product. So I have an example up here from Philips showing some of the sensor technology that they have embedded into toothbrushes now. And through that, their service applications can actually know information about how often people are brushing their teeth, what is the predictable mean time to failure within their products, or how can they notify a customer that it's time to replace their toothbrush because it's probably due for a replacement. So you'll be seeing more and more vision and art of the possible from Salesforce in this area around the connected device. And again, to kind of get back to our story here, in the Internet of Customers, all of these different experiences, whether they're in phone-based, email, mobile, social, web, or chat, are ultimately creating impressions to those customers on how they're going to feel about doing business with your company in the future. So with that, there's an opportunity for Salesforce to leverage these trends and changes in the buyer to deliver service across our Salesforce One platform. That is really the nature of serving your customers on their terms and on their channel of choice, whether it's through cloud, whether it's through social, whether it's through mobile, whether it's through phone or email, and through the Service Cloud applications, having that unified view of your customer across the entire end-to-end journey that they've had in their customer experience with you. Now, one thing you may not have expected from this webinar is I'm going to spend a few minutes not talking about my products at Salesforce, but sharing with you a book that I felt has been very impactful on me and many of my colleagues at Salesforce. And this is a book called The Effortless Experience that was written by Matthew Dixon and Rick DeLisi at the Corporate Executive Board, which is a market research firm that has worked with hundreds of thousands of companies over a 3-year period to conduct extensive market research on root causes and relationships between customer effort to obtain and resolve service and customer loyalty, which would be defined in their likelihood to repurchase from you, to increase spend or their share of wallet with you, and equally, if not more important, in communicating their perception of your brand through positive or negative word of mouth on their experiences with your company and recommend your company. So when we read through this research, there were really 3 fundamental questions that the Corporate Executive Board asked of companies. The first being, what is the impact of customer interactions on your customers' future loyalty? What are the things that customer service can do to drive loyalty? And third, how can service improve loyalty while at the same time still reducing operating costs? And if there was a big aha moment that came out of this research, it was that it shook up a lot of the commonly perceived expectations of the value of exceptional customer service. In that most of us who have been in the customer service world believe amongst ourselves that the more we go above and beyond to wow a customer and provide what they call moments of delight, the reality against that perception is that it had almost no impact on customer loyalty beyond meeting a customer's basic expectations. So this was a fundamental challenge to some of the conventional wisdom that we in the customer service world have internally about the work that we do. And some of the results in summary on this research is that those moments of delight only happen not more than 16% of the time, but in scaling and designing a customer service organization around exceeding customer expectations and going beyond meeting them, it creates a high burden of operating costs on the company to service and support their customers. Finding number two, if the first one was bad news for a lot of us in the customer service world, finding number two was also a little bit disheartening. And the reason for that is what this slide is showing is when customers experience drivers of disloyalty, such as repeat contacts, channel switching, and that means having to change from being on the phone to typing the same information in emails to going into self-service forums multiple times, being transferred to different departments where the person they were being transferred to didn't know the information that they had already shared, or feeling like they were just being treated as a number and not a person. These were really all factors of effort, right? But the difficult pill to swallow for a lot of us is that customers who felt that working with your customer service department was an effort, they were 4 times more likely not to do business with your company again versus those who had their expectations met because of easy effort were only one time or one factor more likely to do repeat business with you. So therein is the challenge in meeting the needs of this new customer. It's not about going above and beyond to excel in customer service, above and beyond meeting expectations. Really, the new version of what does good look like is about effortless experience. Giving your customers a low-effort way to get issues resolved quickly and effectively, and to resolve them on the first try. So what are the pillars of these programs, and how do we relate them to the Service Cloud? So channel stickiness. This is really dealing with having a means in your organization to meet the customer on the channel of their choice, and knowing who the customer is and knowing what they need to resolve regardless of whether they're coming to you through a phone call, through an email, through social media, or through a chat session. And another one that I think is very interesting in the choice of words here is what we call next issue avoidance. So a lot of us who have come from the call center world talk about FCR, or first call resolution. But when we look at that through the lens of customer effort, what we're really talking about is not so much did we resolve the issue on the first call. It's more about, are we helping them avoid the next issue? Or is there another error or problem that came up as a result of the problem that we just solved? Or is there going to be rework involved that they have to come back to you on? So, the things that we can do to avoid having that customer come back to us for the next problem is going to be perceived as a driver of low effort service. And then, another key one here, it's really all about frontline control, and how are we helping to empower agents to have the right knowledge to meet the customer in those channels? And how are we empowering your end customer to have access to the answers that they need on a self-service basis? And that's going to drive a lot of the conversations we'll have in this series on knowledge management and web self-service and communities. And another thing that I wanted to make sure we were helping you understand from this research with the Corporate Executive Board is a lot of us think within our companies that phone-based interaction is more desirable of a channel for our customers than it actually is. So a lot of the expectations that companies have in delivering customer service was that, chat or email or forms of self-service were good for low effort things, simple problems. But when things got to be more complex, people want to pick up the phone and talk to another person. Or there may be perceptions around demographics, such as millennials want to use social media, but people who are 40 years old don't. And what the research from hundreds of thousands of data points showed us with CEB was that's actually not the case, that there's almost a one-to-one equal preference for phone and non-based phone interaction across all age groups, at least below the age of about 75 or 80 years old. So one of the things that's interesting about multi-channel customer service is also that the research showed that more than a third of phone callers who were talking to you for customer service were actually on your website at the same time they were talking to you over the phone, trying to get the same answer just to see which channel was going to get the issue resolved faster and easier. So, we wanted to make sure that we constructed these in our conversation around what really matters. And this is really all about customer effort. Customer effort is really a driver for your customer service program around what is that relationship going to be between the customer experience and their likelihood of doing business with us again. So one of the things we'll take away from that, how does all this relate to the Service Cloud? First, let's ask the question, as a group, can we empower customers to help themselves if it's easier and if it's going to drive faster resolution to more problems at a lower cost? Because I think based on the research, that's almost a holy grail of what we're all trying to get to and what Salesforce is focused on enabling for our customers with the Service Cloud. So we will talk about these further in this series with communities, but really I wanted to open you up to the idea, since many of you already use Service Cloud, and asking yourself this one question: what if you could enable customers to help themselves and one another while building brand loyalty and freeing up agents to focus on more complex questions? Now, I'll share a story with you from personal experience that recently I was provisioned a new iPhone from Salesforce and had a problem with getting some critical functionality to work, with my systems for business use. And I had a choice to make on how I got that resolved. I could have gone to my company's help desk. I could have made an appointment at the Apple store at the Genius Bar. I could have called Apple support to get this done directly. Or I could go out on Google or some other method and just try to find an answer where it already existed. And what I found to be the best and most effective resolution was to find a conversation in Apple's forum with other users who were having the same problem, who wanted to share with me in a thread or in a conversation how they resolved it. So I want you to think about that in the context of your own business in terms of how you can crowdsource and have your customers help each other in solving issues so that you can deflect some of the calls and emails away from your agents and give your customers more of what they want, which is low effort experience. So we're going to go through this as we, evolve this, this Salesforce overview series around communities for service as a means to let your customers help each other and increase the value of what your agents are doing by driving them to do more complex work and more difficult case resolution for your customers. We'll also get you acquainted with how we leverage knowledge into the self-service process here. So, this is really about taking the customer service center of today out of just having a system of record for case logging and resolution. And when we go back to that, that slide and the pillar I talked about for frontline control, this is really about ways that you can empower your agents and your customers through knowledge management to get the answers that they need quickly. And we'll talk to you about empowering your customers to get the right answers at their fingertips so you can actually monitor, the flow of cases and the resolution of cases in real time. And, we have seen through independent surveys a 34% customer retention increase when organizations like yours enable customer self-service. So, I wanted to, close on this portion of it, by sharing with you and thanking you for making Service Cloud the #1 customer service application in terms of market share growth and recognition in the leaders category of the Gartner Magic Quadrant for 3 years in a row. We'd like to thank you for giving us the opportunity to help you drive improvements to your customer satisfaction through the Service Cloud, for those of you who have used it. And what that helps create are long-term successful relationships with our customers at Salesforce. Since we're a subscription-based service, that means you'll keep coming back to us. And I'd like to now, hand this off to Adam to share with you a very successful case study that we worked on with our partner at Summa Technologies to help a particular client have a very successful deployment and return on investment with their use of the Service Cloud. Can I pass it to you, Adam?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff.
Okay, so we're going to talk a bit about, as Jeff said, a particular customer success story. This one's mostly around mobile and field service. So they had a call center that have people out in the field actually servicing customers with a product, that product in this case being furniture, actually. So furniture delivery and the customer service issues that arise out of that. This was a mid-sized furniture company in the region, Pittsburgh, Ohio, Mid-Atlantic region, making deliveries all over. So you go to the furniture store, you pick out couch, chair, whatever it may be, and you can't take it there yourself. You don't have a truck. So delivery team schedules an appointment next Thursday. As we all know, it's not going to be an actual time. It's going to be 8 to noon or something that you can never actually go to work that day. You have to stay at home and wait for the furniture to come. They were having a lot of issues where they would make these deliveries and customers may not be there, so they would have to leave, come back, reschedule, and customers would dispute whether the delivery truck ever came. They also have a number of issues around damage to the location, whether it's an office or a home, people carrying large furniture in and out, banging up walls, breaking banisters and railings and the like. So what they found was actually their customer service reps in the call center were spending a large portion of their time, probably the majority of their time, actually helping drivers with when their next appointment was, where they were dropping furniture off at, what they were supposed to deliver to a certain customer versus another, et cetera. They really found their call center was acting almost as a dispatch center. So they wanted, their main goals in that were to reduce the time that their own CSRs had to spend on the phone with their own people so they could actually spend more time with the customer. Most customer service engagements, I think, are looking to reduce the time on the phone with customers. In this case, they were looking to free up time to be on the phone with customers more. And they were looking for a way their field service delivery folks could enter information very quickly that could be used to support customer cases that came in very quickly, effortlessly, and on a device that gave them multiple areas of functionality, both for GPS directions, for note-taking, and for supporting this customer service effort. So the Summa project started off as a strategy engagement. At Summa, we have a dedicated design practice for user experience, and we see that as more than graphic design or screen development. We see it more as truly transforming the way that you do business and the way that your customers see you, that interaction between you and your customers. So our design practice had a strategy engagement, went and interviewed not only stakeholders and leadership, not only doing customer service rep shadowing at desks with people taking calls and the way they swivel from system to system, but that team actually rode along with furniture delivery folks, making deliveries for a number of days over time to understand the issues they ran into and the process that they went through as they made those deliveries. And then out of that came this idea that we wanted a mobile app on a device that the drivers were willing to use that actually sped up their experience and supported customer service as well. So what we got out of that was the customer decided to use the Galaxy Note product, but they wanted a custom mobile app. They wanted GPS integration. They wanted signatures captured, and they wanted the ability to take pictures of home. So we developed a cross-platform application that allowed the customer to scale beyond the Galaxy Note product if they wanted to in the future, but it was on a stack that can go to the iPhone, go to a Windows phone, et cetera, in the future, and allowed for native functionality such as GPS and camera. So the way that that app works, and this was written using the Salesforce mobile SDK, also APIs to integrate out to ERP systems and other homegrown systems that the customer had internally to get delivery information, inventory information, what inventory was on the truck, and those things. So the field service rep starts their day. The first thing they do, their truck is loaded for them, and they show up at the truck. They get in, they hit, what are my deliveries today? So in this example, some screenshots here, you can see they have 10 stops today. They know the value of what is on their truck. That's really important to this customer because the drivers are reimbursed by the amount of goods in dollars that they deliver successfully versus those that are damaged or not delivered. So they know how many hours they're expected this should take and how far they should be driving, and they also have the first stop. As you see, Albert Einstein there with the example in the screenshot, but they know where their first stop is. They can click on that. They can see what the address. They know they're delivering 4 items. They know the value of those items. They have a button right there to call the customer, or they can go right to mapping it in GPS, put it on the dashboard holder that they have, and navigate to the customer themselves. When they arrive at the customer, they can see the products that they are delivering. They can see the value of each. What they also do, and is not shown in the screenshot here, they have a policy where they can wait up to 15 minutes before they drive away. So have a no deliver. The policy, the SLA, if you will, that they have is that the driver must wait 15 minutes. So as soon as they pull in the driveway, if the customer is not there, they start that clock in the app. There's a button there to start the wait. And when that hits 15 minutes, that automatically gets recorded in Salesforce against the delivery record that they did wait 15 minutes. They can add notes that they need, and they can leave. If the person is there, They can, before they would bring any furniture into the home, they do a full inspection of the route they're going to take through the home. So if they're delivering a bed and your bedroom's on the second floor, they would figure out, as any normal delivery person would, logistics of how they're going to get. They're going to go front door, basement door, whatever it is, what stairways they're going to take, and where the bedroom is. What they do is they'll walk through the home with the homeowner, and right in the app, they know key locations in the house, and they'll note any existing damage or anything that's noteworthy about those locations. This all gets attached directly to the delivery record in Salesforce as they save. They can add their own notes there, or they have a pre-formed list to take. If they want to, say a front door is off a hinge, or banister is already broken, not attached to the wall, they can take pictures right there and attach that to delivery record as well. And again, that launches them, uses the native camera functionality. So this uses a mix of custom mobile app and then takes advantage of the native phone functionality as well. They can take those pictures as needed. They can have the customer digitally sign the delivery that they agree with, what is similar to when you get a rental car. You go around the car and see dings, etc. You sign off that you agree that's how it looked before. And they do the same thing after delivery. So after they actually deliver the furniture, they take pictures of these same spots. Anything the customer thinks, you banged that wall up while you were delivering that furniture, they can take pictures of that and note that the customer said that. So then they sign off at the end of that. If the customer calls in a week later, which had a high common occurrence with a particular customer, customers will call in a week later and say, oh, you damaged something in my home, and then it was a he said, she said, or it was very, iffy as to who was in the right there. I believe they found that this not only helps resolve those issues, but it deflects those calls as well, because when you walk through and you're taking pictures, a customer is much less likely to call in, and dispute that if they know that records were taken as you were doing it. So what this allowed them to do was it did reduce time that their customer service reps were spending on the phone with their own drivers, acting almost in a dispatch mode. So it allows them to spend more time on phones with customers as needed, and to spend more time resolving those issues in a way like Jeff talked about, having more effortless experience, because when customers call in with issues like this, they're able to have a contextual conversation. So they know the delivery's been made. They know they can see the pictures of the customer's home when they call in. They know where problem areas were in the house. They know what items were delivered, etc. So just speeds that up throughout that customer service process. For the drivers, it allowed them to have one device they work from all day. It does GPS, it does camera, it does signature, it does case logging, it does their schedule for them. One nice thing, making deliveries, furniture, you go to some remote places, using the cross-platform mobile app, and allowed us to have offline capabilities. So if they would make a delivery in an area where they weren't getting mobile reception, as long as they had downloaded at the beginning of the day their call list, they were able to work those calls, those deliveries, take the pictures, take the notes, everything. As soon as they get mobile service again, it uploads all that information up into Salesforce and attaches it to the correct record. So it allowed them to have a seamless experience throughout the day, no matter where their delivery route happened to take them that day. So I think that's it for the customer success story. I think we have some questions that are coming in. Okay, Kristen.
Yeah. So Jeff, thank you. Adam, thank you. Everybody's been asking some really good questions as they've been presenting, so there's a few questions I was going to have Jeff and Adam speak to. One of the first ones I think is a great question that a few people were interested in learning more about. Jeff, maybe you can take this one. Okay. What is the service console? And then we had one follow-up question to that, if you could speak to the service console and if it works with knowledge.
Okay. So the service console, the Service Cloud Console, refers to the agent workspace within Salesforce.com. This is the way that, this is the tool that we use to set up the view that your agent has to their caseloads and their customer data when a case is created. It typically, due to the nature of the differences between what salespeople do and what customer service agents do, has a little bit of nuance and functional differences between the Service Cloud console and the Sales console. So, what we typically see is a lot more customization of the interface around the types of information that an agent is likely to want to use on a high frequency basis. So if this is a billing department, there might be an area pinned into that screen that will do lookups of current accounts payable information, for instance. If this is a warranty or RMA department, they would likely have a component in their console around warranties, entitlements, or service level agreements, for instance. So what the console is, it's really a highly customizable view of that agent's work, what cases they have, and also is where the agent would see information about who the inbound contact is. So if a call comes in over the phone and we've done CTI integration, they would get a screen pop with the number, or perhaps from our Sales Cloud, they might have information on who that customer is. If it's a chat that's been initiated through our live agent, they would have a conversation through the console. Typically, it is now done more and more in a multi-screen or two-screen setup, and much more use of hotkeys, since as opposed to more of a mouse-driven interface, since that's the way a lot of agents tend to work, and also tends to be a single point of view of that end-to-end customer journey. If you wanted to look at all of the history of contacts that that customer has had for this case or any previous cases, or the place where you would see, show me all the products that this customer owns. And just to kind of segue into the other question about knowledge, a lot of the use of knowledge would be through the agent Service Cloud console, in that it provides an area where the agent can do quick searches and look up, identify documents or instructions or videos that would explain a resolution to a case while that customer is on the phone. So if you really want to implement knowledge in Live Agent, that Service Cloud is the product at Salesforce for doing that. Any other questions?
No, so let me take that one, and then we had another question about knowledge base specifically. Maybe Adam, you can speak to this. So I know a lot of people have knowledge bases that exist before they might implement Sales Cloud or Service Cloud through Salesforce. So what happens if you have years of articles that are stored in SharePoint or some different database?
Yep. Extremely common occurrence, as Kristen mentioned. A number of customers right now that we're working through that specifically with SharePoint, but also homegrown systems, other document management systems. So there's ways that inside Salesforce, but especially in the console, as Jeff mentioned, where we've built out one of those sections of the console to do live searches or real-time searches of other databases, other content management systems like SharePoint. And usually we see that being brought in as what's referred to as a mashup. So we may bring that system's data into the console and display it right next to the Service Cloud information, or we may actually just mash up their search screen as well, so they can do searches of that system. We've also, with the Force.com platform, able to develop out any type of app. We've written apps that take and search query, and then we'll do API calls out to multiple systems, 2 or 3, a customer loyalty system, and the knowledge base, and the existing knowledge that's inside Salesforce, and match up the results so that people see, customer service rep would see results from all those systems at once, and then, like Jeff was saying, share that out through Live Agent or other ways to the customer, right there for self-service, et cetera.
I was just going to add for a future call, if the group would like, we can also talk about how we enabled enterprise knowledge management across different systems for our own deployment of success.salesforce.com.
Yeah.
In some cases, we used the platform APIs for things like SharePoint integration. In other cases, we used third-party solutions like Covio for more enterprise-level search, which was part of a solution that we had to basically, double up our web traffic to online support while keeping our phone call-based interaction relatively flat over a 1-year period. So, a lot of it depends on, what kind of information you need access to and what kind of repositories they're in already. Whether it makes sense to move those into Salesforce knowledge, whether it makes sense to have an API to a SharePoint or more of an enterprise search strategy around that. So that's one of the things that Summa is very good at in terms of, understanding the end-to-end process and requirements. So.
Perfect. And I like that idea that someone wants to hear more about how Salesforce is kind of eating their own dog food with that. I think that would be a great follow-up. Okay, so thank you guys both very much. To everyone on the call, there was one more question about someone who would like to see a demo. And I just wanted to, acknowledge at the beginning when we asked how many were current customers. I think that even the people that, we've been part of implementations for that implemented a few years ago, Salesforce has come so far so quickly in making improvements and enhancements to the Service Cloud. So if you feel like you may have this implemented, it sure wouldn't hurt to take a look at some of the new features and engage us in maybe looking at a demo to see what's out there that you may not have implemented and ways that you couldn't even maybe modernize what you have already to get some better value out of it. So we're going to continue this series. In 2 weeks, we're going to do a deep dive into communities. And then the following one after that will be 2 weeks further. We're going to take a look at consistent management across channels. So using that CTI integration, Live Agent, chat, email, web to case, and a way to make sure that your customer has a consistent experience no matter which way they enter to you to get the case in. We will be recording this webinar, and I'll make sure that everyone gets that sent to them so that you can share if any of your coworkers missed that. We'll also include a transcript of all of the questions that we answered during the webinar through the chat so that you can see everyone's questions and answers. And if anyone has any further questions or interest in seeing a demo or learning more about any of the features, you'll have our contact information through that you can reach out and respond. Good. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your lunch.